Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Codenamechanel and I'm back, but clearly I'm back with my married story time part 2.
My pimpin' got him hooked, pimpin' got him. I say my pimpin' got him hooked, pimpin' got him. My pimpin' got you hooked, my bad. I'm sorry, my pimpin'.
So if you're new to my channel, welcome. This is the Finesse family, and if you're a returning subscriber, then you know it's all love. Literally, you guys, I love you guys so freaking much. I don't even know how to describe my love for you guys. Like, so that's how I know what real love is, when you can't even describe it. If you have not watched the first marriage story time, so if you haven't watched part 1, please go check it out. It'll be in the description box. It'll also be at the end of this video, and then I will go ahead and pin part 1 to the comments. So if you haven't watched it, I will watch part 1 before you watch part 2. But if you're like me and you're weird and you just want to watch this anyway, even though you haven't watched part 1, go for it. Where do I start? So once I found out like all the mess that my ex was doing, we're gonna call him X, I decided to leave California. And that's where the story left off. I applied for an apartment. I got approved because at the time, and I still feel like it is super easy to get approved for apartments in Texas, but at the time it was beyond easy. Got approved for the apartment, then I left. So I get a little emotional at that part because I am very close with my brothers and sisters. Like, my siblings are everything to me. My nieces and nephews are everything to me. And my little brother is the little brother that I have custody of right now. He was one of, like, I didn't want to leave him, but at the time I didn't have custody of him and I couldn't take him out of California and to, you know, cross state lines, kidnapping, hello. So I drove from California to Texas, and that was a story time within itself. But just know I did not stop at any hotels, and it was a 20-hour or like a 21-hour drive. No stopping, okay? I was on a mission. Listen, let me tell y'all something about when I was driving to Texas. First off, first things first, there was nothing on my mind that didn't let me know that I was gonna land 10 toes. 10 toes standing up, period. So I knew when I was driving, and I know like everybody was like, when they found out I left and stuff like that, they was like, oh, you know, they probably was saying, saying all types of stuff, saying all types of things. Baby, I want y'all to worry about a lot of things, but don't worry about me. Anyway, so when I finally get to Texas, I was informed that the apartment that I applied for was not even ready. So it was a little upsetting, and they said the apartment wouldn't be ready for 8 days. So I ended up booking a hotel in Addison. At the time, I did not know anything about Addison, Texas, but it's actually a really nice area, especially if you're looking, if you've never been to Texas and you're looking like for hotels to stay in or whatever. Like, Addison is a really cool area. So I wasn't nervous, you guys, about being in a new place. Like, I always knew that I was destined to move out of San Diego, California, so it wasn't a shock to me. So anyway, I'm at the hotel. I don't know anybody. I don't know a single soul. So I started like rekindling things with Marine Bay. Me and him started talking back to each other, and this is all within like 24 hours of me being in Texas. Again, you guys, this guy was in love with me, so without my consent, without my permission, he took a flight to Dallas. So he ended up in Dallas. So he calls me the next day. So keep in mind, I've only been in Dallas this is day 2. He calls me and he's like, hey, I'm in Dallas. I have family out here. I just came out here to visit. So I'm like, sir, I just talked to you yesterday. You know, I got to Dallas. Keep in mind, you guys, I arrived to Dallas October 31st, so it was Halloween. We ended up linking up. We went to a restaurant in Addison, and we were like talking, and he was just basically like, you know, he started showing me like movers that could like cargo, you know, like the cargo, like someone that can move my vehicle and all my stuff to where the state that he ended up like, you know, moving to. And he's like, yeah, you know, we should try to work things out. You shouldn't be here by yourself. I'm like, look, I already have an apartment. I had an apartment. Like, sir, I don't want to be in a full-blown relationship with you right now. Like, I'm still married. I don't want to do this. So speaking of still being married, because it's a marriage story time, part 2, let's don't forget part 2. My ex-husband did find out that I moved to Dallas because his friend, TJ, told him that, you know, hey, she dropped all your stuff over here, she moved. So he contacted me a few times, But nothing like dramatic, like, hey, I want my wife back. Hey, you know, I want my family back. Like, he wasn't like that. So he did contact me a few times and he was like, oh, did you make it or whatever. I wasn't really responding to him because like I wanted a divorce. But then it came to the point where I was like, okay, well, he still needs to provide for me because I'm married. So we worked. So I'm jumping ahead of myself, you guys. Let's just leave it there that he did contact me when I moved to Texas, but he did not know that I moved to Dallas. He just knew that I moved somewhere in Texas. So back to Marine Bay, because I'm trying not to get off the topic too much. So back to Marine Bay. We were, you know, hanging out, and he was in a separate room, but he stayed in the same hotel as me. But this is the same person that came to visit his family, right? So why don't you stay with your family? But okay. Anyway, for real, he's a trip. Like, we were hanging out and stuff like that, and he still was trying to get me to, like, you know, leave Texas and be with him. And he was fighting for, he was fighting for a marriage, you know? And my own husband wasn't fighting for the marriage, but he was fighting for me. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like flattered, and I think that I still think to this day he's a great person. And you know, he deserves the best, but I just didn't see myself with him at the time. And also, like, yeah, I like, you know, that he liked to spend money and things like that. Like, he even paid for the hotel, you know, like once I told him how much the hotel was, he basically just reimbursed me. So he was a keeper. He was a good guy. But at the same time, I was just like, I'm not there. And he wanted me to be there, but I just wasn't. So on the fourth day, basically, you know, he has a job, so he can't just be out there. Like, he couldn't just stay. Marine Bay was like, I booked your flight to come back with me. Keep in mind, I only been in Texas for 4 days. And I'm like, sir, I'm not coming back with you.
Bye. No.
I'm not coming back with you. I can't do this. I was like, I'm not coming back with you. I don't want to be with you. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like, we're not together. I don't want us to be together. And we got into a big argument, like a huge argument, and he left, and I didn't hear from him for a while. But again, I'm in Texas and I have to like figure things out myself. So I ended up calling my older brother. Again, me and my siblings are super close. So I ended up calling my older brother, and at the time he was living in Florida, but he had just moved to Florida. So I called him and I was like, hey, can you move to Texas? Because I'm out here by myself, and like, I need you to like move out here. And he was like, let me get things settled in Florida, and then I'll come out there and I'll help you get like, he'll be out here helping me, so I wouldn't be by myself, basically. So I went, finally the apartment was ready, and I ended up going to check out the apartment, and it was a horror story, you guys. Like, the apartment was, first off, it was ghetto, but on top of that, it wasn't super ghetto. Ghetto being 10 being the highest ghetto-ness it could get. It was like a 7. Like, I saw a roach. And all I need to see is one. I don't care what nobody said. All I need to see is one roach, and I'm done. Okay. So I was ready. I think I had already signed the lease, because I went back. Like, I'm breaking the lease. No, I can't do this. The apartments are called MacArthur Place on 183. Y'all just read the reviews. Keep in mind, I read the reviews, but the reviews didn't do. The reviews were bad, but they weren't bad enough for me not to move there. Again, I'm from the hood, so it's a little ghetto ain't never hurt nobody. But at the same time, coming where I was living at with X, we were living in a very nice complex. Then, long story short, I ended up signing the lease. And I remember I called my brother. I was crying. I was like, I just signed the lease to this apartment. So my brother did end up moving out here. Booyah. He found a job. I found a job. And so we're both working and stuff like that. Keep in mind, I only had like $1,000 saved up. I only had $1,000. I'm being honest. I was, during the marriage, I was working. I went to school full time. You know, he paid all the bills and stuff like that, but I wasn't stacking up anything for a rainy day. Because let me tell you, I know how to make some money. I know how to get a job. I know how to do a resume. Like, I'm always gonna be good. I'm always going to be good, trust me. So I was not tripping. Like, I knew, like, whether I had 5 cents in my account that I was gonna make some money. So of course I did. Got a job, was working at that job. So I started working. Me and my brother were working for the same company, but it was in different buildings, but we were literally like down the street from each other. Nevertheless, while I was working at this job, I ended up meeting this guy, and he was having a birthday party at a strip club. So he was like, come out to the strip club with me and my friends or whatever for my birthday party. I went out to the strip club with him and his friends, and that's when I met this stripper girl. We'll just call her Daisy. So I met Daisy, and she was like telling me like, you should dance. You have the body to dance. I promise you guys, dancing never even crossed my mind until I went to the strip club, and the girl Daisy was like, you should dance. Like, she was like, you can make so much money. Because I seen dancing online. I seen strip clubs online. I've always seen those type of, you know, those things. Like, but I seen movies. I just was never interested in dancing, you know. So she was like, you have a nice body, you have the body for it, you should do it. So I ended up, me and her ended up exchanging numbers, and I just kept that in mind, like, okay, you know what, well, she might be onto something. You know, she might be onto something. So I ended up getting another job where that's where I met my best friend till this day. The first friend I ever met in Dallas. I ended up meeting my best friend. Love her to pieces. She was from Chicago. I'm from Cali. We both were new. We both moved to different states, not knowing anybody. So, you know, but we weren't best friends like right away, but we knew that we were going to be good friends. So I ended up telling her like, you know, I think I want to go to the strip club. I think I want to dance. And she was just like, you should do it, and you should get a pole, and we should practice. So she was all for it. So y'all, I'm not kidding you. We were like practicing and everything, you know. I ended up going to the strip club. I ended up doing bottle service first, but then I started dancing. I was making like, you know, a lot of money. I even have I have a video. I have a whole story time on the first time I ever danced. And you guys, it was one of my newer first YouTube videos I ever posted. So it was like, yeah, the editing, everything, like the lighting was horrible, but I'm telling you, it was a good ass story time. I might just make it over because I promise you that story time is like worth watching. But so when I first got into the strip club, I was having a blast, you guys. I was having a blast. I was making money, whatever. So this has only been like a few months have passed. I got into the strip club in December. My first time ever dancing was New Year's Eve. Of course, I made so much money you can't count it. Like, for real, I never thought that. I decided to get a second phone for the guys that would be hitting me up in the strip club and stuff, and like all the tricks and stuff. So, you know, I wasn't new to guys spending money and finesse and like getting what I want. I ended up getting spousal support, a good amount to like support me. But this is like, I didn't start getting spousal support until like right when I decided that I was going to start dancing. And I had already invested so much stuff, like money, into my dance stuff. And again, I made up my mind. I was like, I'm never going to be fully dependent on one income ever again, or not saving and stacking for a rainy day. Although, whole nother story time. We're not going to go there. I get a second phone, and I make a second Instagram, and I make a second Snapchat. So with the second phone, it was his old phone number from like years ago. It was a very old phone number that was on our mobile plan, but he ended up getting a whole different number. So I ended up using that number because I was paying for that line. Like an idiot, I didn't change the number, made a Snapchat, and his like, you know, friends and stuff started adding me. And like, one of the first people to add me was TJ. And TJ went back and told him, I think, you know, Chanel dancing or whatever like that. Then, so keep in mind, it's months passed by. He has not contacted me. I'm trying to get a divorce. Like, I'm trying to get a divorce. And the legal separation and all that was a whole different story. Then that's like, just, I feel like that's going to make this story time super long. But he contacted me and he was like, well, what do you need? Do you need more money? I'll give you more money. Like, I don't want you in a strip club. Like, you got my friends and family adding you on Snap. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? So I noticed like my Snap was public and they probably did see it and they were adding me. But I thought it was just because like I was getting popular in the strip club or something and got... I hate myself, but I was like, oh yeah, I'm popping. So of course I'm going to have all these people on Snapchat. But they were adding me from like it being his old number. And he was like, I'll give you more money. I just want you out the strip club. And I'm like, first off, we need to get divorced. Let's just say that's all. You're not going to tell me what to do. We need to get divorced. So his mom was calling me. Like, everyone was calling me. I'm pretty sure he told them that I was in the strip club. They didn't bring up that I was in the strip club or I was dancing. But they were calling me. And his mom called me and was like, you guys need to work it out. I've been married for such and such. And, you know, you need to fight for your marriage. And it's always like fighting for your marriage. Like, girl, I can't even, I'm not fighting for anything. Okay. I don't even like breaking my nails. So I was just like, no, I'm pretty much done. It was a lot of gaslighting with his mother and his side of the family. But even my grandma had called me and I don't know if he was reaching out to them. My dad had called me and like, this is all after the Snapchat charade. And they called me and they were like, my grandma was like, did you leave your husband? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, baby, you just found him. Because from the outside looking in, like all the pictures and stuff that we posted on Instagram and everything, like it looked like we had a happy marriage. Everyone loved X. I'm gonna let y'all know that right now. No one hated him. I never told anyone bad things about him. Everyone really, because I didn't say this in the first marriage story time, everyone really always thought I was the problem. He was like, well, I'm gonna come to Texas and we need to talk. So basically, y'all, he didn't want me with anybody else. I always knew that. Just like I low-key didn't want him with nobody else. Like, that's just the type of relationship that, like, toxicness, that you don't want to be with the person, but you don't want anybody else with them. So it was kind of like both of us feeling that way. But once I left California, once he pushed me to leave California, my home, my city, my state, okay, my family, then I was done. I was like, okay, I have to move and I'm starting over fresh and I don't want to look back at this relationship. So when he came back, he came to Dallas. He was not talking about, he wasn't trying to hear, let's go to counseling. He wasn't trying to, none of that. So why are you even here? Why are you even here? So we really didn't even talk about nothing at all. Like, and I was just telling him, well, like, I was like, I went to seek, you know, additional legal help. And I just, like, you know, feel like we should get a divorce. And I pulled out some divorce papers, like, here, you know, sign this, I'll go ahead and... So he took the divorce papers. He said he's gonna look over everything and that he would contact me. Weeks that went by, he never contacted me. So I ended up having to go down to the courthouse. I had court paperwork sent to him, certified mail, and they said that he was no longer at that address. So I had to get it resent. And then by the time it was resent, he was out of the country. So legally, I could not file for a divorce when he was not in the United States. So because he wasn't answering anything, he was making it so hard on me to the point where, like, I had to put out an ad in the newspaper. Like, anybody knows divorce, like, it was getting very ghetto. It was getting very ghetto. I didn't like that for me. I know you guys, my subscribers, y'all wouldn't like that for me either. So I'm out, like, on a date, you know, I get a phone call from someone and they're like, your husband has been shot. And okay, so I don't want to sound, please don't judge me. At first I was like, who? You know, at the time I was just forgetting that I was even married. I was like, who? And they were like, yeah, your husband X got shot. And I'm like, so I was like, did you contact his mother? Is that, like, because that's one of the people that you should contact it. And they were like, just giving me all the information. The person on the phone was taken back because I wasn't crying, I wasn't screaming, I wasn't anything, because this is not, what part of people move, like, of course I sympathize with somebody getting shot, just like I would sympathize with any human getting shot. But at the end of the day, like, what part of, like, when I move on, it's, where are your girlfriends at when you got shot? Like, where are the girls where are they? So I get off, I'm about to get off the phone. I'm like, oh, okay, well, she's like, oh, so do you want to know if he's alive? I'm like, is he alive? The person was like, yeah, he's alive. I'm okay, that's good. And I know they were taken back. They were like, who is this? They were just shocked, like, how I was acting. But I mean, it is what it is. You know, fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Okay? Is that good? So he calls me afterwards and he's like, you know, I got shot. And he knew, like, I was super nonchalant about it. And, you know, I was like, I hope you get better. I really didn't. I wasn't happy that he got shot. I would never be happy that anything like that happened to anybody, regardless of what he did to me. But I wasn't, like, happy or anything. I was just like, okay, well, you know, there's other people you can call, like your girlfriends. And he was like, you know, Chanel, why are you acting like this and doing these things or whatever? Like, why are you being like this? And I'm like, look, I'm gonna tell you honestly right now, like, I don't really care for you like that anymore. I am happy that you are okay, but I want to move on with my life. I want a divorce. And then he started apologizing and he's like, what can I do to make this right? And he started apologizing for everything that he ever did to me. Keep in mind, you guys, I was in Texas months, not one apology. Even when he came out to Texas, he did not apologize to me, not one time. So of course, I'm just sitting here like, you know, it's a little too late to apologize at this point. Like, I really don't, I really, you know, you don't want to fight for this marriage. I don't want to fight for this marriage. Like, let's just move on. Like, that's really all I wanted, was to be able to move on with my life and close that chapter in my life. And the apology, I'm not going to say that it didn't mean anything to me, but it didn't mean anything to me.
I handled myself well.
So I wished him the best, and I was like, you know what? You're ducking and dodging this divorce. We need to get divorced. So Valentine's Day had came up. He ended up sending me some flowers. The flowers had a different girl's name on it, and it was a girl that I knew that he was talking to prior. So it was the same old, like, you're never going to change. And then, like, so it's like him getting shot. What don't God like? God don't like ugly? Okay, so I'm just checking. Because I feel like, here you go with all these apologies, and then you send flowers to me, and the flower company or you, whoever, mixes up the names, and it's not even, you really need to get a divorce. Finally, after some time, the divorce finally went through. Ecstatic, like, I'm happy. I was genuinely happy that I was not married to him anymore. And God, it was a whole process. Like, if I told y'all everything, it's just been back and forth. We finally did get a divorce. And you guys, moving to Dallas because of what happened with him was the best decision I ever made. And I strongly believe everything happens for a reason. Like, I don't think I would have started a YouTube channel if I was still in California. There's a lot of things I don't feel like I would have done if I was in California. And if I was still trying to work things out with him, I'd probably still be married to him. And it would just been ghetto. And so, you guys, listen, everything happens for a reason, and people change like the seasons. So I was ready, and still I'm beyond glad that I moved to Texas, and I feel like it was the right thing to do. And yeah, so it was a lot of people who wanted to know, like, all my business. And I'm kind of happy that I have a channel where I can talk about the marriage. Honestly, after I left, I didn't say anything. No one knows this story. Only people that know this story are my close friends and family, like my sisters and my two best friends. That's it. No one else knows this story. So when me and him weren't together, yeah, I would always get DMs and stuff like, oh, like, let me tell y'all something. People are so nosy because people in one breath will tell you, oh, they don't like seeing people put their business on Facebook. I don't even have Facebook or nothing. Like, I never had a Facebook, but I'm saying, like, people talk mess about other people who put their business on social media, but they really want you to, because I would post quotes and I would, like, live my life. I would be on vacations. I would be on vacations and doing things, right? And people be like, where's X? Where's your husband? Are you guys not together? Oh my God, what happened? Everyone wanted to know because I wasn't giving them that. And he wasn't either. He wasn't the social media type either. So me and him, all the beef and everything with the courts, the divorce and everything, I never put on social media. I never posted, since my ex, I have never posted another guy. Like, on my social media ever again. I'm scarred for life. I'm scarred for life. I feel like now the year is over. 2020 is over, and I feel like the reason why I just kept pushing it back, it was a lot of reasons why I kept pushing it back, but one of the top reasons that I was pushing doing this story time back was because I was not there, and I felt like, oh, if I talk about this, then that means I still care about the situation. And now I realize when I'm talking about something, I don't care about the situation. I have a channel. My subscribers deserve story times, okay? So that's pretty much it. I don't have any contact with him. We do not talk to each other. And that's the end of the story time. That's it, and that's all. If you have any questions, definitely comment below. You guys know I'm open to answer them if they make sense. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell below, so when I pop out with a new video, I'll have a new video. And guys, I'm almost at 100K subscribers. I don't know if I'll be at 100K subscribers when I make this video, but I love you guys all so much. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Codenamechanel, Codenamechanel, Snapchat, Chanel Kid Herb. If you need some sugar game, finesse game, whatever game, join my Patreon. And I think I'm out. And I think I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. And I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out.